I'm out here at the Jeep dealership today is because on the forums there's been a lot of discussion about the Sport model versus the Sahara, and people are saying the Sahara model sits higher than the Sport model. The suspension is different, supposedly. So I came out here to check out the inventory and see what we got here. I mean, just looking at them you can tell that it's not the case. The Sport model here and the Sahara sit exactly the same rod height. The tires are the same rod height. The brake calipers are the same. They're exactly the same, which was the case with the JK, so I expected that to be the case with the JL also. I checked the part numbers on the coil springs, those little tags that hang off the coil springs, and they are the same part number with the exception of one letter at the end of the part number. So I'm going to do some research on that. That may just be the difference between models depending on, the options that are on the Jeep, because the ones that have, like on the JK, there were several different coil springs they used on them, depending on the model, on the options on the model. So if you had a Sport, for example, that had a hard top and a bunch of options, it would actually have a stiffer spring than a Sahara with, just the base trim and a soft top. So, there's a lot of things that actually goes into the suspension on these things. And so the part number on these two, both of those that we're looking at here are hard top models, and the part numbers being exactly the same with the exception of that one letter on the end. Like for instance, this one was a 3658 AC, that one is a 3658 AB on the front coils. That may just be a designation for the models. I'm going to do a little research on that, but the bottom line is you can just tell just by looking at them that there's no difference really in the Sahara versus the Sport. Now the Rubicon, that's a completely different ball game. The Rubicon has different fenders and different coils and all kinds of different things there. So obviously that's a different ball game, but I just wanted to kind of point that out. If you're shopping these Jeeps and the suspension is one of those things that you're really looking at, there's not really any difference here, guys. So don't let that sway you between one model or the next. All right, I'm gonna go home and do a little research on those part numbers and see if there's any more data on those from Chrysler, but pretty much I think they're the same. So I'm also gonna come back and bring a tape measure with me so I can put the tape measure on these and measure up to the fenders, and that way it'll give us another data point to look at. Anyway, I'm going to get off here for now, and we'll talk to you later on. Alright, let's try this again. So I couldn't find any information on those part numbers. The JL part numbers aren't in a whole lot of online systems yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the tape measure right at the center of the hub, close as I can to the center of the hub. And I know it's hard to see on the camera, but I'm right there at the center of the hub, and we got 21 inches to the bottom of the flare. There it goes, 21 inches to the bottom of the flare on the Sahara model. Alright, now let's go over here and check out this Sport model. I'm gonna put it right at the center of the hub again, and looks like here we're at about 20 and 3/4, about 20 and 3/4. So there's about a 1/4 of an inch difference there, and that could be, a lot of that could be in the fender design, because on the Sahara you've got this nice painted fender with just a lip that they've got attached to it. It's a little bit different than the Sport, which is just one solid molded piece. So it's very possible that that little 1/4 of an inch could just be in the fender flare design. It's hard to say, but the point is that the suspension itself is very, very similar, almost identical between the Sport and the Sahara model. Not hardly any difference at all. Certainly nothing of any significance for fitting tires or driving off-road on trails or anything of that nature. You start talking about 1/8 of an inch, 1/4 inch, that's not significant at all. So pretty much the same thing. I wish they had a Rubicon here, because I would really like to put the tape measure on the Rubicon and check it out and compare the tire sizes also, but they don't have one here right now, so we'll have to do that another day. But I just wanted to show you another data point here between the Sport and the Sahara. If you're shopping these and you're wondering about the suspension on them, pretty much the same thing, guys. Very, very, very minimal difference between the two as far as rod height goes. All right, I'm gonna wrap this up now. Got some other things to do today, but we'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching.